So because we are a performance based like pay structure, it is very, very important that we manage our time effectively and efficiently. And one of the ways that we can do that is by analyzing the conversation that we're in, analyzing some of the little things that they're doing in that conversation to decide for ourselves how much time we should give to that person in that conversation. The first of which is just going to be, is whatever they're showing you positive or is it negative? Now, just because they give you a few or sometimes even a lot of non-buying signs doesn't mean that they're not still open to having that. It just means it's going to take a little bit more work, a little bit more patience. And if they show enough, then you might just decide, hey, like this is not the person I want to spend my time with. As far as how it all breaks down, there are things that people say and there's things that people do. So good buying signs or verbal buying signs, like things that someone will say to show you that they are interested. The first of which is going to be venting. So if they're going on and on about how much they don't like how their foggy windows look or how drafty their front door is and how it feels cold, and when they wake up in the morning to drink their coffee, they're like chilly. When they're going through and explaining all of those things to you, that is one, it's a sign to close, but also it's a sign that they are interested, they do have a need, and that you can help solve their problem and they're not really putting up that much of a fight, let's say. The second thing is going to be future talk. So if they're asking a lot of like, okay, what all goes into you guys changing the gutters? Or how long does it take for windows to actually come in and get shipped and all that stuff? The only reason someone would ask that sort of question is because they have an interest and they're trying to kind of picture how the process is going to look. And so they just want to understand what they're about to do, hence implying that they're about to do it. The third thing is if they're involving their spouse. So this is more so about, it can be about choosing a product, but it can also be about choosing a time. So if you're trying to figure out when the best time is for us to come out, and they say, hold on, let me double check with my wife, make sure she's gonna be free around this time, or let me ask my husband if he's has anything planned for Saturday, it means that they're trying to give you an accurate, honest answer because they actually plan, at least in that moment, about being there. And then if they're asking me for a price, sometimes it's just curiosity, but even if they are curious, that's what we want. So if they're asking you personally, like, hey, if you had to ballpark it, how much do you guys charge a window? Or how much do you think, just roughly, from your experience, is it gonna be to actually roof my house? One, never tell them a price. One, because we're not trained to give prices. But the second thing is gonna be because even if you happen to know how much it costs and you give them that price, now they don't need the quote because you basically just quoted it out for them. A little bit less accurately and without any of the actual process to sell it, you just kind of hunched their interest and their curiosity, and now they don't really have anything more that they want. Things that they more so do as opposed to say to show that they are interested is just going to be having open body language. So when they're talking to you, instead of being closed off and kind of tilted to the side, maybe they're smiling, they make eye contact, they're kind of enthusiastic about the conversation. Their shoulders are rolled back, their body's open, they're facing you, they're actually open, they're not setting up any boundaries or any any blockages between you and them. And then obviously, if they're nodding, you're talking about the drafty windows and they're like, yeah, I've seen that. I heard about the neighbors also having that, yeah, and they're just nodding back and forth. Usually means that they're intently listening and that they are at least in a positive kind of view of what you're saying. And then the fourth one is going to be mirroring. So if you notice, and sometimes they might not be doing this on purpose, but if you notice that you put your hand in your pocket and then a few seconds later they do the same, or if you lean on something and then a few seconds later they also lean back on something, it's because you have built a rapport with them, and so they're just subconsciously or sometimes consciously mirroring you to show you that you're on the same page with both of those people. Now, things to show you that they're not interested in buying, so the more of these they show, the less time you want to spend with them. Obviously, they might say that they're not interested. That one's pretty kind of cut and clear. You can still get this overturned if you break it down and have some probing questions, but that is one of the first things, is just a sign like, all right, they're not open yet. The second thing is if they tell you they already have a guy, or they have a contractor, or they have a handyman. Sometimes they still have a need because whatever their person is doesn't do what we do. or they might not just be licensed or insured or registered or any of those kind of bonuses. But this is like one of the first walls that they might put up. The third thing is going to be, hey, we already have everything we need done. We've already done everything. Sometimes this is true. Sometimes this is, someone who just spent $150,000 on their house last year, and there really is nothing left to do. But a lot of the time, people will say this, and you'll look at their windows, for example, and they'll be 25 years old and original and crappy and foggy. But to them, that's not something that they have thought about doing, so it's included in saying that all work is done. So with all work done, you want to probe a little bit, see if they've done this, see if they've done that. Obviously, use your eyes, look around the house, see if there's anything that you can find that could actually use some work. But if they're repeatedly saying, hey, all work is done, all work is done, all work is done, then maybe not spend the next 20 minutes with that person. And then if they say that they're busy, sometimes, people do get busy, but a lot of the times people overinflate how busy they are. So with someone being busy, we kind of want to respond with, this is our availability, this is how long we're going to be here, this is what hours and what days we can come out. And just see if you can actually solve their problem as far as the time to meet, or do they not want it solved and that's just their excuse, the hill that they're going to die on to not set that appointment. As far as more so nonverbal things, opposite of open is just going to be closed body language. So if they are, have their arms kind of crossed, they're hiding behind the screen door or the storm door. If they are kind of just slightly frowning, like they're not letting themselves be fully into that conversation, and so they're doing every and anything in their power to set up some sort of blockage between you and that person. And then the kind of last one is just going to be if they don't put away the distractions. So if they have a dog, and instead of shutting the dog inside the house, they are just holding them back, like, yeah, what is it? How can I help you? What about my windows? If they were really trying to show you that they were interested in having that conversation and giving you that respect, then they would, open the door back, put the dog in, and then come out and actually just have a conversation with you face to face without anything else happening. If they don't do that, then that's, they're just not invested in the conversation. And sometimes you can bring it back with short and powerful phrases. But if, 4 or 5 minutes into the conversation, the dog is being a distraction and they don't care enough to put him away, that might not be the person that you want to spend a lot of time with as well. So just kind of keep an eye out for all of these things. Just be very mindful with your time. Be conscientious because you only have so many hours that you're going to be working in the day. And the last thing you want to do is waste 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 15 minutes there. And then over the course of a day, you basically lost a whole hour, hour and a half on conversations that you could have known that you didn't want to be part of.